So at the moment, we have at the Hotelplan Group a lot of connections, right? So we have connections to several bed banks, we have connections to car rentals, to airlines, and so on. And I mean, to support and to operate these connections, it's also a lot of effort. And there it could be very interesting if we have one ecosystem where we can get the products from everywhere, right? Through one interface. And that will be very interesting, I think.
Hi Roman, welcome to Travel Unchained here on Mallorca. It's great that you took the time to come and sit down with us and talk about Web3 in travel.
Yes.
Before we dive into that, please introduce yourself to the audience.
So hi Anke, thanks also for letting me in and discussing today about Web 3.0. So my name is Roman Wetli. I'm responsible for the IT at the Hotelplan Group, so for the group and corporate IT. I'm in my role since November 2021. And yeah, when it started, it was very interesting for us to jump in as well for the Chain for Travel.
So why was it interesting?
Yeah, it was especially, you know, you don't want to be the person which stays on the line on the train. So you want to be on the part on the train, and if it's departing, you're sitting there and you're part of the game, and you also have the possibilities to define and bring your ideas in, right?
Yeah, we talked about at Travel Unchained last year that everybody needs to get on the train, and now we have a lot of companies that are on the train. So, and now it's the next step, right? We, at the event now here we talked a lot about use cases. So, what kind of possibilities do you see with Camino?
Yeah, I mean, there are several possibilities, but to be honest as well, we're also searching for this use case at the moment for us. I mean, there are some possibilities I can imagine for Interhome, because they have really a unique product, and so it's easy to build their digital twin and to sell this via the new platform. And there are also some possibilities, which I saw yesterday at the event.
Exactly.
The messenger part, which could be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the messenger was really a highlight of the event when Ralf Usbeck talked about what we are building for the moment and for the industry.
Yes. And it seems to be very easy to implement. So that was for me also eye-opening a little bit. So just to add to this server a new tool and then to load this D-app. So it could be very interesting and very fast as well.
Yeah, what do you see? What kind of advantages do you see with the messenger?
So at the moment, we have at the Hotelplan Group a lot of connections, right? So we have connections to several bed banks, we have connections to car rentals, to airlines, and so on. And I mean, to support and to operate these connections, it's also a lot of effort. And there it could be very interesting if we have one ecosystem where we can get the products from everywhere, right? Through one interface, and that will be very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting. It would remedy a pain point in the industry, because you have so many very colorful world of suppliers out there, and then you always need to focus on the technical connection and what kind of priority, what kind of business case, and now there's an opportunity to just connect once and then have that colorful world.
And there are no standards as well. You know, that's also a very difficult thing. So that could be interesting for the future, right?
I think no standards, and every company is fighting with this problem on its own. Yeah. And I think in the future now we get together and we look at this and we can solve it together. So I think that's...
I mean, you know, there are several possibilities. We also now have these connections directly to our core systems, but we have also these connections done via external partners. And I mean, yeah, it always depends on the resources. And if this can be much more simplified through blockchain, it will be very interesting. Yes.
So when you look back at the 2 days here at the conference, what are the highlights? I mean, I think one was probably the messenger.
Yeah, so one highlight from the presentations was really the messenger. Yeah, that looks great for me, and also the presentation that something is working in there. It's also good to see, right?
Yes.
And the second highlight for me was really the exchange between each other. So we spoke a lot during the past hours, and it's interesting to see which validator takes which approach, and where are some use cases which are in implementation, what the guys are trying to do, and so on. So that's the exchange for me was also a highlight for the whole conference.
Yeah.
And for sure to meet again all the people.
Yes.
That's always interesting. Yeah.
So coming from Switzerland, Switzerland of course is on the forefront of crypto and blockchain implementation. Has set a framework very early. Has that influenced the Hotelplan Group?
I think it has influenced it in this way that, for example, we added also payment method to have the possibility to pay with coins, right?
Yes.
So that's something which was from the other part. I think at the moment not really, but maybe it's coming now with Chain for Travel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you are in Switzerland, does it give you more security to have a legal framework around and?
Yes, that's. I mean, security is always a topic, right? And so it's very important that we have a legal framework, and not just trying to build everything by our own, something there, and then we have to look after everything. So that's why it's interesting that there is an ecosystem where everyone, and that's always also from yesterday a good insight for me. You know, the ecosystem is for everyone. It's not just owned from Chain from Travel.
Exactly.
And that's very interesting.
Yeah, we are kind of the facilitator. I mean, when we look at the governance, it's really the consortium of travel company that was emphasized during the past days. And then the Camino Network Foundation, who proposes decisions to the consortium with regard to the messenger or other transaction fees, of course. And then the consortium the validators are really in the driver's seat to take those decisions. And then the Camino Network Foundation, they task Chain for Travel to implement. So we're kind of the facilitator implementer for the network, for the mainnet. That's our focus. Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest use cases? That would be also interesting for me.
Good question. So I think the messenger is truly the biggest use case for Camino, because if you look at the distribution today, you have like a hierarchically distribution, one-on-ones, and now we have a technology at hand where I think the main element is the peer-to-peer network, the peer-to-peer communication network. And so it's already in place. Yeah. And it's agnostic messaging that you could do on that network, independent on the travel vertical. So that's truly, for me, connecting once and then have that communication network ready with the partners globally. There are no borders. That's for me really truly the benefit that Camino can bring for the travel industry. And if you have like 850 APIs, it's quite a lot of cost that you can cut.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the implementations, the APIs are not standing still. So you have also to redevelop and manage it and
maintain, etc. So it should make life simpler. On the other side, there are other use cases as well. Loyalty, we saw some of it in the past days. Payment settlement is a big thing that comes with the messenger now. And we haven't even touched the whole area of identity. And of course, then your smart contracts can automate any process that is perhaps manual done today. So there are a lot of areas, but I think one of the most important things is that this is a collaborative technology. So you could have a shared single source of truth for the industry, and then depending on what you need to share, you allow that sharing in the network.
Yeah, I mean, that's something which is interesting if we speak about our IT department. There are no, the know-how is not existing at the moment in this technology, and that was for me also insightful yesterday, especially for the hackathon, for example, which could be a good starting point. Just for the tech guys which are interested to really start with this technology, to try some things, right?
Yeah. And that's what we saw with the hackathon, that the touristic Lufthansa, that and it was Mark Riley talked about that yesterday, that the developer didn't even know the task at hand until they could start, and then they were briefed and coached, and within 3 days they produced a proof of concept for the problem that was tracking and incentivizing buying sustainable fuel.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, afterwards, it's always the question, you know, about the prioritization. So, you know, we have a lot of topics ongoing as well. On the other hand, and so that's why we need really to define what makes sense. You know, so do we invest now in this technology, or do we stay a little bit still behind? So that's the question what we're doing. Right?
Yeah, that's a term like fast following, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think. You know, it's depending on the definition, what is fast, right? Yeah. So I think it's always better to have a foot in the door and be on the train. Yeah. And what we see in the ecosystem, and you saw that as well in the last day. So a lot of companies are already building, and we saw Pablo, I think, talked about the transaction on Camino Mainnet. If you go to Columbus, the test net, see a lot of there's a lot going on. So
that's what my guy said as well, that in the testnet this is got a lot of transactions ongoing and activity ongoing.
So I think companies are building, and that will come. That will go live soon. So it's better to when it's too early, when it's too late. It's very hard to define.
You need to find the right path, right?
Yeah, exactly. So. And so I think that it will be interesting the next, looking at next year. Yeah. We know of a lot of use cases, but also what I realized during the past days, we won't know everything anymore. No. Because that's the decentralized ecosystem that we are building. You know that now with Chain for Travel, with Travel and Chain, and companies can make connections and then build together, and we don't even know at Chain for Travel.
Yeah. It's not the same as we have today, right?
No, it's a different world. Yeah. So do you think when you're building, do you think your audience, for example, B2B, B2C, will be more open because Switzerland has been exposed to the crypto world much earlier?
I think it really depends on the markets, especially also on the age of the customers, right? Maybe a little bit. Some of them are really into Web3, and some of them really not. So I think, it really depends. And at the moment, the big audience is not existing, I think. I mean, there are, if you look at the wallets which are existing, still a small number of percentages. But it's growing, and I mean, if you look at the young people, or if I look also at my daughter and my son, what we had yesterday also a presentation from what was her name?
Victoria.
Yeah, from Victoria. Yeah, which was very interesting because she said, the guys are talking about Roblox, about Fortnite, and so on. And I mean, my daughter, which is 10, already asked me about if she can access to it. And I think the younger generation will grow up with it.
Yeah. Will grow up with that. Yeah. And I think that's one trend that we need to take into consideration. But then on the other side, I think not many people might be realizing that they are dealing with wallets, because it will be behind the profile. Will be custodial wallets, and it will be very easy to handle. Yeah. So they don't even realize that there's crypto blockchain behind.
Yes. Yeah, interesting.
So let me see. So your Hotelplan is a validator.
Yes.
So now I think you became a validator quite early in the process.
So we started very early on the testnet. That's right. So we built everything internally, and then we did it on Google Cloud. But then the person which did it left our company, so we had to bring the know-how to another team, which was happening. and they automated now everything. And since the 11th of September now, we are really live also in the mainnet, right?
Yeah. So what does it mean for you? I mean, we talked about early on the train. Is that the...
Early on the train, that's for sure something, but also, you know, to be part, to have really the right to talk about definitions and to bring in your ideas and so on. So that's also something which is very important, to have the decision rights, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very important to be in the driver's seat and take that responsibility together with the others.
So where is the ecosystem going? And I mean, for us, it's also important to be part of it.
Yeah, and secure the network, and then have the right foundation to build on that. Yeah. So I think we are at the end of our interview. Do you have any other recommendations perhaps for other companies that don't have that much knowledge about Camino?
Yeah, I would say look at it and look at it really focused, because it's something which is departing now, and don't miss the train. That's my message. Yes.
Thank you, Roman, for this interview.
Thanks as well.